Okay, we want to talk about constructing the graph of the cosine function. And this graph is just as easy to construct as that of the sine function. Of course, the construction can be quite tedious, and we're not actually going to do the construction now. You've seen how the construction is done, and you know perfectly well how to do these constructions. So, just indicating, here's a unit circle. And I'm going to use this unit circle to construct the sine function in the way that we're accustomed to. And of course, I'm not going to do the subdivision of the right angles and then subsequent subdivisions to 3 or 4 places, 3 or 4 iterations. I'm simply going to indicate on the picture. I haven't constructed these. I'm just ballparking it, eyeballing it. Of course, we have the 4 points at which the coordinate axes, the x and the y axes, intersect the circle. And then we've bisected each of these arcs by bisecting the angle or by bisecting the chord between successive pairs of existing points to get these points here that lie halfway between the coordinate axes along the arc of the circle. Okay, so we know that. We've got these points, so now we're going to use them to construct our graph of the sine function. I've got an interval which will correspond to one complete circuit around the circle. Here's our first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. And each of those quadrants, these intervals represent the first, second, third, and fourth quadrant. And each of these intervals is divided into 2 equal parts, so that the points here are in 1-to-1 correspondence with the points I've marked around the circle. Now, starting at the positive x-axis, which is where we always start when constructing these graphs. Well, there'll be cases where we don't start there, but for right now, that's where we're going to start. We're going to start at the positive x-axis and draw the corresponding point. So here's the point corresponding to this point on our circle. Okay, the next point, well, here's the horizontal coordinate, and the y-coordinate is this. And you'll notice that I've drawn a very light dotted line across here, so I know pretty much where that needs to go. Of course, I've just sketched these lines. Again, this is not constructed. Might be as accurate as the ones I constructed because of the inaccuracies of the construction. But, okay, then we have this point which corresponds to this point on our horizontal axis. And that's going to be up here. I've drawn the projection line here, and you can see where I've drawn these approximate projection lines. So I just keep going around the circle. I go to this point, now I'm here, and the y-coordinate is here. I go to this point, which corresponds to this point on the axis, and I'm going to be here. Then I go to this point, and I draw this coordinate here, then here, and here, and here. And now I can draw a pretty good sine curve through these points. And there's one period of the sine function. Okay, now I want to draw the cosine function. And the cosine function is defined exactly as the sine function, except that we use the x-coordinate. Now, I could just use the same graph and draw my graph down here, but I want the graph on the same set of coordinate axes. So I'm going to construct it by doing the following. I'm going to draw another unit circle, but now I think of rotating that unit circle 90 degrees. So I rotate the unit circle 90 degrees, and right there's my x-axis. Now, to construct the cosine graph, all I've got to do is follow the values of x around the circle. As always, or as we've, for the basic sine or cosine function, for the basic unlabeled graph of the sine or cosine function, we have to start at the positive x-axis. And now the positive x-axis is up here, but that's where we're going to start. So that's clearly, our starting point has this x-coordinate, or this horizontal coordinate on our unscaled graph, and the x-coordinate on our reference circle is now here. And then we move to this point, and the x-coordinate is going to be here. We move to the next point, and the x-coordinate is here. We move to the next point, and the x-coordinate is down here. Move to this point, and we're down here. Move to this point, and we're here. We move to this point, and we're here. And we still got 2 points to go because this isn't the x-axis anymore. We got to get to the x-axis. So we come up to here, and then we're back to our starting point, and we can draw a graph of our cosine function. So, our sine function's in purple. Our cosine function is in yellow.